Wait, go deep. Go deep. I got picked off in my own office. Unbelievable. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the August 18th, 2023 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions, call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. Always excited to be doing RamView, especially now that it's the month of August and there's so much to talk about. We're going to talk about Hacksaw Reynolds a little bit today. We got a Kistler trivia question for today. We're going to look at the Rams offensive roster breakdown in terms of numbers, what number of players they keep at certain positions, 3 running backs, two quarterbacks, that kind of stuff. And we're going to bite into that right now. But first, I want to ask a question, and it goes to my opening. Does anyone give a rat's bandera about interceptions thrown in August practices? I just can't believe it. I mean, I'm not sold on Brock Purdy 100%. I'm not sold on any of these guys 100% that they tell you is the next best thing. But who cares about interceptions in the month of August? I heard there people were getting worked up because Stenson Bennett got picked off on a tipped pass yesterday against the Raiders. A tipped pass. These are the kind of people who get upset because they can't understand the game, or they're too lazy to understand the game, that when Van Jefferson didn't make a play on Matthew Stafford's throw at the end of the first half of the Super Bowl that was picked. This is the people who just see an interception when Ben Skoranek got a hand on the ball and tipped it into the air. And they say, well, Stafford was picked off 2 times, in the Super Bowl. Either they're not digging deep enough to find something better to talk about, or they just don't get it. And the deeper you go into this, the more you find out that sometimes I don't know if they want to get it. Again, it's all clickbait. The thing that's kind of blowing up a little bit now in Ram circles was Colin Cowherd had his best quarterback and receiving duos, and he left out Stafford and Kupp, who by the end of the decade will be the no-look pass will be the most iconic play in Super Bowl history. It already is. It should be. And he left him off his top 10 list of quarterback receiver duos, Cousins and Jefferson and Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, who've never played together yet, and all those. He had all those names out there and he left off. I'm telling you, it was clickbait. It was absolute quick clickbait. Going back and finishing up on this interceptions in preseason, I don't know who it was. Somebody played a clip or gave a quote. I've seen it in a couple of places where Sid Gilman, former Rams coach in the 50s, Chargers coach in the 60s, an air genius who was kind of a consultant with the Eagles in the 70s. He was the one that made a statement that interceptions in camp that's what camp is for. It's finding out what your quarterback can and can't do. And I'm just amazed that everyone gets all worked up because someone threw interceptions in camp. Please come find me when Brock Purdy throws 10 interceptions against the Rams, and you'll have my ever dying and long attention and affection. But until then, interceptions, I got intercepted in my office right here. Right here. I was thrown to the easy chair across the room, and my rolling dry erase board cut in front, picked me off, took it down to the 2. Okay. It doesn't make any difference, right? Because it's preseason. It's August. And speaking that it's August too, and staying on this little bit of a rant before maybe touching on last night's game, I just do not understand why people who make a living covering the NFL play the lousy preseason football card. It's called preseason because that's what it is. It's preseason. It's a chance to find out who can play and who can't play. It's a chance to see if someone can develop into something you didn't think they could be. But I was watching Good Morning Football. I was hearing some other people talking about how lousy yesterday's game was last night's game was between the Eagles and the Browns. And really? Was it awful, or did you learn something, right? I learned a lot. I learned that, half the Georgia alumni is still with Philly, right? Nolan Smith, he looked great. Keely Ringo was out there. I learned a lot. I got to see Trey Sermons play. Remember, he was kind of the thing for a while there at Ohio State, and he's trying to hang on to his NFL career. I thought there was a lot to learn, especially watching those quarterbacks, which we'll get to presently. Hey, football is football. There is always something to learn. And to say there's nothing to learn, nothing to pick up, it's entitled, it's weak, and it's lazy. I know. I'm kind of hard on this because a lot of us can write stories. A lot of us can write or sit behind a microphone and talk. But it's the one who write the stories, who do the work, who do the background, who go for that little bit more. It's those of us that are behind the mic that go a little bit further, a little bit more. We're the ones that they're the ones that make a difference. I'm going to throw myself out of there. You make the difference because you put the work in. And as a fan, you have to listen to these experts say preseason football is terrible, that's awful. You, for some reason, you're made to feel stupid if you think it's good or you're interested in it. Let me tell you something. Guys behind the microphone, guys that make a living, kind of both now in my career, can I tell you, we don't know everything. Or a lot of them pretend to know everything, and they don't work hard because they got a nice gig. And they don't work hard. You probably work harder as a fan, so don't ever be ashamed and take a back seat. There's my rant for the today. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR. Man, I was wrong about that guy. I guess 6 years at UCLA with Chip Kelly does prep you for the NFL. I'm not saying that he's going to be great, and maybe it was because he played in Westwood. I wrote that guy off a long time ago. I just did. I thought, yeah, he's nice. He's okay. And I remember some rumors about him being looked at by the Rams, and I'm thinking, oh, man, not DTR. There's no way I don't see this guy. No way. And, boy, he looks nothing like the guy I wrote off a long time ago. Good for him. Now, we understand it's preseason, but I guess preseason games do matter because otherwise we wouldn't see that Dorian Thompson-Robinson is not only better than Kellen Mond, but I don't know what Kevin Stefanski is thinking there in Cleveland if he thinks Josh Dobbs is his number 2 quarterback. We've all seen Josh Dobbs, right? Nice guy, great story. But Dorian Thompson-Robinson is the second best quarterback on that roster. And to me, looks like he might be, in the long run, the most capable of filling in for Deshaun Watson when he gets suspended again for something nefarious. Speaking of last night's game and why preseason matters, Tanner McKee. Now, he's going against seconds and mostly thirds. We understand that. But did you see the guy throw the ball? 2 years ago, I saw him at Stanford, and I thought, this guy looks pretty good. In fact, I wrote about him 2 years ago, and he was really written off the boards this year. He wasn't anywhere near 4th round, 5th round material like, was it the Hayner from Fresno State, Clayton Tune in Houston, Stetson Bennett, some of these other guys that were second-tier quarterbacks. And he dropped all the way to 190, 6th overall this spring before he was drafted by the Eagles. And honestly, he looks really good. Now, I know Marcus Mariota gives the Eagles a more maybe a better match to back up Jalen Hurts. He can run, he can do things, but I think the NFL has seen Marcus Mariota. He's pushing 30 if he's not there already. I think you've seen all you're going to get, and even against 2s and 3s, you didn't see too much out of Marcus Mariota last night. Tanner McKee can throw the ball. Tanner McKee, it looks like a better option right now, and I'm encouraged. I want to see this guy play. Kellen Mond, who was brought in from the Vikings by the Browns, he was a 3rd-round pick, 66th overall in 2021 out of Texas A&M. Yeah, I thought he looked okay last night, but compared to DTR, now this guy's going to be lucky if he holds on to a roster spot, and he might be USFL material by August 31st. And Marcus Mariota, brother, not too good, Chief. good guy to root for. But when I look at Marcus Mariota, you look who he came in with. It was the battle, Marcus Mariota or Jameis Winston. At my old place where I worked at the newspaper, we did the Joe Show on KMVR, Mid-Valley Radio, the voice of the Valley. And I had a bet with my board guy, Ken Ferreira. He was the Cossack of the boards with the Sonoma State, that Jameis Winston would be better than Mariota. I won. I don't know if I won by much, but I won. It's interesting. Heath Schuler and Trent Dilfer came in together, and they were number one picks, top of the line. And Dilfer did get a Super Bowl by hanging on to Ray Lewis and that Braven defense, but Heath Schuler ended up in Congress. Ryan Leaf and Peyton Manning. There's just guys that are always going to be linked together, as well as everyone in that 2020 draft? Was the 2020 draft with Justin Herbert and Tua. I hate saying his last name, Tagovailoa. There are always going to be guys that are linked together. I just thought it was pretty interesting that it's kind of come to an end for Mariota. A shame. That's just too bad. Good guy, but he didn't look good. J.D. Van Clowney signs with the Cleveland Browns. With the Cleveland Browns. He signed with the Baltimore Ravens, so he's back in the NFL, and that glut of veteran edge performers is getting smaller and smaller. I don't know who's left out there. Is it Brandon Ingram or is it Melvin Ingram, the former Raider, the former Charger that's out there? There's not much left out there for the Rams to glom onto, and I think if they were going to sign one, they would have signed one already. And so there you go. Ram news. Okay, nothing new really breaking right now except, the great workout with the Raiders. THT is looking good. Matthew Stafford's looking really, really good. Better than he's ever looked at before, I guess, since he's been with the Rams. Tutu Atwell. I'm sure when Tutu Atwell breaks free, scores 3 touchdowns in a game, catches passes for 150 yards in consecutive games, everyone's going to say, oh, yeah, I knew Tutu Atwell was the guy. But what I wanted to look at right now at the top of the show, in the middle of the show, as we get to the 12-minute mark, is in positions on offense, what number of players they'll keep. Traditionally, teams up until last year, after the Brock Purdy, Josh Johnson disaster in Philly in the NFC games, usually teams keep 2 on the active roster, 1 on the practice squad, and so the Rams had Wolford and Bryce Perkins backing up Matthew Stafford last year. That was keeping 3 on the roster, which was really interesting. Is the Rams never released Bryce Perkins in any of the 2 seasons he was on the active squad. They never put him through waivers or anything to see if he can make it to the practice squad. He was always kept on the active 53. This year, I don't know. I look at the Rams and I'm just wondering, could they just go with 2 players? Could they just go with Stafford and Stetson Bennett, release Rippon, and then make Dresser win the practice squad guy? Because nobody's going to sign him. That'll be interesting to see. Running backs, teams usually keep 4. I think last year it was Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, and Jake Funk. They were in there. This year you're looking at Cameron and Kyrene Williams, but he was hurt early on. This year you're looking at Cam Akers, Kyrene Williams, and then you're looking at Ronnie Rivers, who people are really starting to take a shine to, Zach Evans, who's the steal of the draft, supposedly, and Royce Freeman, the former Oregon guy. And those are 5 guys there. The Rams keep 4 of them. I think Freeman might be the odd man out unless they trade Rivers. Again, tough position to be in as a running back because you're easily replaced. I don't think the Rams are ready to give up on Kyrene Williams or Zach Evans. And Royce Freeman, he's had his shot in the NFL. He is what he is. Teams usually keep 6 wide receivers. For the Rams, if you take their top 6 right now, that would be Kupp, Jefferson, Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell, Ben Skoranek, Demarcus Robinson, and likely Tyler Johnson. And that would put Austin Trammell and Lance McCutcheon on the bubble. And so it'll be interesting. Would the Rams go 7 deep? And then tight end is really interesting because you got Higbee, you got Bryson Hopkins, who you're hearing a lot of good things about, but Hunter Long and Davis Allen have been no-shows. keeping 4 tight ends seems really unlikely. So you got Higbee, Hopkins, and then Long or Davis Allen. And, people have all excited about Davis Allen. I think he was listed as one of the steals of the draft. Would they get rid of him so soon, even though he hasn't played? Maybe they IR him, bring Long back. They're going to want that third guy. And, of course, they got Kalanick, the Canadian. I think it's Bradford, the Florida State guy. And, of course, Christian Sims, who's definitely geared towards being on the practice squad. Offensive line, the ideal number is 9. And with as well as he's played right now and where he stands with Joseph Noteboom being out, you look at Alaric Jackson, undrafted free agent, guys. Just remember that. UDFA, starting at left tackle. Steve Avila, second rounder. Brian Allen, who's had his travails after being drafted in 2019. Tremaine Ankrum, 7th round in 2019. I think Brian Allen was 2018. I'll take correction on that. And then, of course, Rob Havenstein, 57th overall in 2015. That looks like your starting offensive line with Noteboom, Coleman Shelton, Warren McClendon, and Logan Bruss. Right now has the next guys there in the 9 spot. But Zach Thomas is playing well. And then everyone's high on the UDFA, Mike McAllister. Not so high on is AJ Akuri, the 7th round pick out of Michigan State a year ago. I think he could go bye-bye. I wouldn't be surprised if McAllister ends up on the practice squad. Same for Zach Thomas, unless somebody sees something they like the Jets. And no, I'm not for trading Joseph Noteboom. There's a lot of talk about trading Joseph Noteboom. And hey, if the Jets are desperate and comes calling and they say, hey, man, we're so desperate, we'll give you a 3rd rounder and we'll take his contract. Yeah, I'd do it. Rams are on the hook for another, I think, 20 rocks next year because of the restructure. Yeah, I'd do it. I like the depth, whether Noteboom starts or not. My guess is what's going on with Noteboom right now, and I'm just wondering, this is just pure speculation, is if you've been around somebody that's rehabbed, somebody that's working hard, sometimes you kind of hit that wall. And I'm wondering if maybe Noteboom's hit a little bit of a wall, like he's not getting the results he wants right now. He's down the line from the recovery. He's healed up. He's playing, but maybe he's a little frustrated that he's not doing what he did before. Maybe he just needed some time, get a reset in. I mean, it was an Achilles injury. Noteboom can play football. I like Noteboom. But fortunately, we have Alaric Jackson, and if Noteboom needs time, he needs time. But if I can get a 3rd rounder for him and his contract gone, yeah, I'd make the deal. Also, if a team just lost Russell Gage, Tampa, to a non-contact injury, blew out his knee, and Baker Mayfield wants a reunion with Van Jefferson, I'd make that move too for a 3rd or a 4th as well. I wouldn't give him away, but I hold off to the pick, to the aspect that Van Jefferson just isn't special. Van Jefferson is good. He's quality, but is he special? And does Van Jefferson give us anything that so far Demarcus Robinson has demonstrated he can't give? And maybe Tyler Johnson. Everyone's high on him because he kicked the Chargers 3s on Saturday night. I really don't know if kicking the butt of the Chargers 3s makes you a great player. So I came back from Saturday night's game. I listed 5 players of the Rams' 14 picks who look like Ram starters now, or players or contributors in the NFL. The 5 I came away from with the 14 that were drafted were Steve Avila, get-go guy, left guard. He's there. Stetson Bennett, quarterback. Love the way the ball comes out of his hands so quick. I see him as the backup. Puka Nacua. Yeah, he's not Bobby Trees. He's not Cooper Kupp, but I definitely see this guy getting snaps this year. THT just keeps getting better. Trey Tomlinson. And so, I do like that guy. He's another hit. And so is Ethan Evans, the punter. So those 5 right there. But word that you get that's coming from camp is Warren McClendon now is warming up after having a lingering knee thing through the summer. He's starting to pick up a little bit of steam. And I'm guessing we might see him at right tackle a little more than Logan Bruss this week against the Raiders. We'll see. Zach Evans is another player that he didn't get a super chance to shine. He had a couple of moments, hit a 9-yard, 10-yard run against the Chargers. He's another one that I'm not saying he's a definite NFL player, nor Warren McClendon. And Jason Taylor II, whose options become a little limited, or snaps become a little limited with the arrival of John Johnson and Jordan Fuller in that secondary. And that's a nice little safety tandem. If the Rams can keep those guys healthy, it adds a lot of experience to an inexperienced squad. And so Jason Taylor, Russ Yeast, Quentin Lake, they're all going to be fighting for that third safety spot, who does play a lot for the Rams. The number 3 safety does get a lot of time. But then again, we're also looking at Rochelle. We're also looking at THT, because I think the feeling is it's going to be Kobe Durant, Witherspoon, Kilo, Witherspoon, and Darian Kendrick. And so we're going to see who's going to get some more time in that secondary. Anyway, I think it's shaping up really, really nice. In terms of questions about veterans that have been with the Rams for some time, I don't know why I'm supposed to get excited about Keir Thomas. Yeah, he had a sack and a half. He looked good. But, each of the last 3 summers in the preseason, I'm told he's ready to break out. I'm told it's his time. And I don't know. I'm tired of waiting. I think the kid has a motor. But if we could put his motor in, say, Terrell Lewis's body, then you'd have something, because Terrell Lewis has the body of a superstar, but he has no motor. A guy like Keir Thomas, who keeps fighting for a position, could you imagine what he would do with Terrell Lewis's physical skills? So, I'm hoping the best for Keir Thomas, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not getting all excited yet. And I don't like Kobe Turner right now sharing snaps at nose tackle. I want Bobby Brown in that spot as much as possible. Now, I understand it's a rotational position for the Rams. Turner's running about 290 right now, I think someone said. I really want my nose tackle to be 3 spins, and I want to see what we can get out of Bobby Brown. We saw a little bit last year. I want to see some more. I understand there's rotational things there, but a 280 to 290 guy not named Aaron Donald is going to get blown off the line of the scrimmage, and I think it's wrong to assume that Kobe Turner can really help us in the run in that spot. I want to see Bobby Brown get a lot of playing time. Okay, so before we go to break, let's look at the Kistler Law trivia question of the day. And here we go, the Kistler Law Rams trivia question of the day. When the Rams traded Wendell Tyler to the 49ers in 1983, remember it was right after they drafted Eric Dickerson, they sent a veteran defensive player with him. Who was that veteran defensive player? I'll ask the question again. When the Rams traded Wendell Tyler to the 49ers in 1983, they sent a veteran defensive player with him. Who was it? A, Mike Fanning, B, Reggie Doss, C, Cody Jones, D, Charles DeJournette, or E, Fat Phil McKinley. We'll give you the answer at the bottom of the show. Okay, so I am Joe Terosian, and that question was brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. If you had an auto accident, give Kistler Law a call. They've been fighting for you since '92. And it's because of Kistler Law and Temple City Auto that I'm able to do this show. I am fortunate enough. I was a sports writer for 21 years, still am kind of. I was a founding member at Mid-Valley Sports. And my guys, Tim and Dwayne, are still working there at Mid-Valley Sports, kicked off their football season last night. And if Hurricane Hillary permits, they will be at SoFi covering the Chargers on Sunday. They are in the room with the Chargers. I'm getting to talk about the Rams, so I'm blessed as well. I also write books for a living. So I do RamView and I write books. My books can be found on Amazon at Joe Terosian. Just type in Joe Terosian or joeterosian.com. That's my website. And you'll see that I do this. I supplement my income through writing and through broadcasting because I'm the pastor of a small church in Burbank Faith Nazarene. And you can find us right here online at Burbank Faith Virtual. We have our own channel on YouTube and also across social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. We put links on Twitter and our own website, burbankfaithvirtual.com. And I think that's the commercial. So that's who I am. And let's get rolling with the back half of this show, because right now I'm working with the air conditioner off. And with the air conditioner off, it gets kind of hot. My air in the Ram cave is not central air, so it's blaring out of a window setup, and you can just hear everything. That's why I don't have it on. And I'm not having a heart attack, in case you think he's sweating too much. Okay, on this date, happy birthday, August 18th, 1964, former Rams cornerback Clifford Hicks was born. He turns 59 today. Hicks was drafted 3rd round, 74th overall in 1987 out of Oregon. Hicks was 5'9", 190, and spent the bulk of his career as a punt returner. In parts of 4 seasons with the Rams, he played in 34 games, starting 6 at cornerback, and picked off 3 passes. Midway through the 1990 season, he signed with the Buffalo Bills and played on 3 of their 4 Super Bowl teams. Hicks spent his last 2 seasons in the NFL with the Jets, with a brief offseason return to the Rams in between. So happy birthday to Clifford Hicks. Also on this date in Ram history, they released, or actually, wide receiver Otto Stowe retired. Now, if you're an NFL fan, Otto Stowe was with the Dolphins in 71, 72. He had been drafted, I think, in the 2nd round out of Iowa State. He was a promising career, but he was stuck behind Paul Warfield, and he got traded to the Cowboys after the 72 season for Ron Sellers, who caught the winning touchdown in the Cowboys' comeback victory over the 49ers in the playoffs in 72, but I digress. And a 2nd round pick, which turned into Benny Malone, who had a nice little run with the Dolphins. Stowe did not do well there in Miami. He had a broken ankle with the Cowboys in 73 after a fast start, spent 74 still recovering with the Denver Broncos, and then was sent to the Rams as compensation when Phil Olsen signed as a free agent with the Denver Broncos. The Rams acquired Otto Stowe as compensation. It was kind of a weird thing. There really wasn't free agency in those days, and it really wasn't a trade. It was just kind of some compensation thing. Different world in those days. And he was expected to compete for the Rams job, but on this day, August 18th, 1975, he announced his retirement, saying he had lost his desire for the game. Also on this day in 1975, the New England Patriots released, or actually announced, the retirement of former Rams punter Dave Chappell, who kicked for the Rams from 71 through 73. In 1976, the Rams on this day waived Mini Mac Haran. That's a story for another time. Mac Haran was the 5'5" running back. He made his fame in the NFL with the Patriots in 74. He was a star in the CFL, played at Kansas State. But he had a heroin problem. He had a real drug problem. He passed away a few years ago. But Mac Haran was kind of a name there in the mid-70s in the NFL. In 1989, on this date, the Rams acquired Pat Carter, tight end from the Detroit Lions, for a 4th-round pick. Carter played 10 seasons for the Rams. He had been a 2nd-round pick by the Lions out of Florida State. He was a blocking tight end, 6'4", 255. He played 91 games for the Rams through 93, caught 50 passes. And again, he left the team. He was in Houston in 94, came back to the team in 95 in St. Louis. He had 107 total catches in his career. Nice blocking tight end. Wanted to get his name in there. And then the big one, the big interesting one that most people don't know about. On this date in Ram history, in 1977, the Rams traded Jack Hacksaw Reynolds to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Did you know about that? Now everyone's saying, no way. Hacksaw played for the Rams in the Super Bowl. Hacksaw was there in 78 and 77. Yeah. But on August 18th, 1977, he was traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After 1976, several Ram players had played out their options. Among them, Ron Jaworski, Harold Jackson, Tom Mack, Cullen Bryant, and Jack Reynolds. Ron Jaworski was packaged in a funky deal that brought Charlie Young to the Rams from the Philadelphia Eagles. And of course, we know Jaworski's story from there. And so there were real issues here with contracts in 76. Eventually, Reynolds settled on his contract. There was so much friction in the clubhouse and with the organization, the frustration after the team's 3rd consecutive NFC title loss. James Harris was traded. Joe Namath was signed. And though Reynolds signed his contract, he had been in dispute with the front office. And then in the midst of that, the Rams dealt him to the Buccaneers, who were heading into their 2nd season after going 0-14 in 1976. Now, think what the Rams were thinking. In 77, they had drafted Bob Brudzinski. Jim Youngblood originally was a middle linebacker. He was coming into his prime. You still had Isaiah Robertson. So the Rams still had pieces there that they thought maybe they can move off from Jack Reynolds. but Reynolds refused to report to Tampa, and the trade was canceled. The Rams were then approached by the Washington Redskins. George Allen was with the Rams in 1970 when Reynolds was drafted in the first round, but the Skins didn't have a pick or the draft picks the Rams wanted. And you got to remember, George Allen was the founding father of blank them picks. So, and all this was going on, 1 week later, the Baltimore Colts came in as a third party. The Colts were looking for a tough guy at middle linebacker because the season before, after 1975, Mike Curtis had left. And Mike Curtis was a star middle linebacker. He was a beast. In fact, if he wasn't so unlikable and disagreeable, he should be in the Hall of Fame. That's how good he was. He passed away in 2020. He played for Seattle in 76, and he left a hole in that Colts defense. And you have to know, 75, 76, and 77, the Colts were in the midst of a 3-year run of winning the NFC East title. Burt Jones, Roger Carr, the Ted Moshe-Broda, Lydell Mitchell years. So the Colts offered to send a pick and an unnamed player to Tampa. Tampa would send their picks to the Rams, who would then send Reynolds to Baltimore. Ultimately, the deal fell through. The Rams decided to retain Jack Reynolds. Mike Curtis ended up going to the Redskins, and Reynolds remained with the Rams through 1980. In fact, in 1981, the Rams released him, and he signed with the San Francisco 49ers. And the irony is that season he won the Super Bowl with the 49ers, and then he won the Super Bowl again before retiring in 1984. Final ongoing thought in regards to Jack Reynolds is the Rams have done the 49ers numerous favors over the years. The Rams personally gave Jack Reynolds, Wendell Tyler to the 49ers. Also, by draft day trades, they allowed the 49ers to acquire Charles Haley, Hall of Famer, Steve Wallace, and Bryant Young. Yeah, the Rams should get a ring or two or hang a banner for all the work they did for the 49ers in getting them some of those Super Bowl titles in the 80s. All right, we're at the 32-minute mark, and we're about ready to wrap this up. But it's been a stone groove, man, but we're not done. We're not done. We're looking at week 3 of the Rams-Bengals this season. We're looking at the Bengals offense against the Rams defense. The Rams will be playing the Bengals in Cincy on September 25th, 2023 on a Monday night. All time, the Bengals lead 8-6-0 against the Rams, but they're down 1 game in the playoffs to the Rams. I wonder which game that was. We got over their defense. I projected this game as a blowout. This is a game that the Rams secondary and the Rams young defense was going to struggle in against Joe Burrow. I saw the Bengals defense has improved, but the Rams there's just no way they were going to keep up with what the Bengals offense was going to unleash on this Rams defense. The Bengals have acquired Nick Scott, Jermaine Pratt, Orlando Brown at left tackle. Their defense is good. Jermaine Pratt, off-ball linebacker. All these guys are good. We talked about them. Offensively, though, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Hickson, an underrated offensive line that's really improved. Orlando Brown brought over from the Chiefs. The underrated Ted Karras at center, who's actually pretty solid. And Alex Kappa, the guy that used to play in Tampa Bay at right guard. This is a solid offensive line. And as I've been looking at it, I said, I just don't see the Rams winning this game. However, my friend and longtime sports writer, Steve Ramirez on Twitter today, says he likes the Rams' chances in this one if Burrow misses the first month of the season, because no one's quite sure this calf strain, how much it's going to affect Joe Burrow going forward. Now, September 25th would put him close. I put him about 7 weeks, about the 7-week mark in terms of recovering from this calf strain. Now, he might come back and play, and if he plays, he's not going to be sharp. It showed last year he wasn't sharp coming back from his appendectomy. And if Joe Burrow isn't playing, the rest of this offense is in serious trouble. I don't know if they're going to go with Jake Browning or Trevor Siemian. I mean, I think Trevor Siemian played the other night. Now, if that's the case, I'm going to go with my friend Steve Ramirez. I'm going to say the Rams can pull this off because I think the Bengals offense will be stunted. I think the Rams defense will be a little bit better if John Johnson is healthy and he's in the the back porch there with Jordan Fuller. So yeah, I am going to be moved on this one, and I'm going to give the Rams a win here and improve them to 1-2 on the season before they even get to Indianapolis. There you go. So I think we got it now. I think we got the show.
Stone groove,
it is a stone groove, but we have to get back to the Kistler Law trivia question of the day. And the question is, when the Rams traded Wendell Tyler to the 49ers in 1983, they sent a veteran defensive player with him. Who was that veteran defensive player? Was it A, Mike Fanning, B, Reggie Doss, C, Cody Jones, D, Charles DeJournay, or E, Fat Phil McKinley? And the answer is C, Cody Jones. I don't think Jones played it down. He ended up retiring. But yes, Cody Jones had been with the Rams since 73 out of San Jose State, and he was part of the package that was sent north to Frisco. And of course, Wendell Tyler ran for something like 1,100 yards in 83. And oh yeah, he won a Super Bowl with Jack Reynolds in 1984 wearing the gold and red. There you go. And I think that is the complete Ram picture for today. And I'm Joe Tarosian. Thank you so much for clicking on and putting up with some stuff today. It is good to be with you. We will be back on Monday, Hurricane Hillary allowing. God bless. Take care. Go Rams. And I will talk to you soon.